Welcome back to the Owl Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Drew Carpenter. Today we've got an incredible story to share. Joining me will be Brett Jackson from our Coastal Carolina colony and Blake Hill from Theta Omega chapter at Middle Tennessee. Welcome, Brett and Blake.
Thank you for having us. I'm really excited.
Yeah, of course. Good opportunity.
Hey guys, glad to have you on today. I've got a couple questions about your all's backstory and kind of how you both came to be in Sigma Pi. So if we don't have anything else to hit on, we'll go ahead and jump in.
All right, yeah, cool.
Sounds good.
So question one, y'all have an incredible story. Take us back to how you all met and became friends.
Yeah, so I think I can start off a little bit on this one. So for me, it started off, I didn't have a summer break, or I guess kind of a senior trip for my year, because when I graduated high school, it was COVID. So I went the following year because of a neighborhood friend. It was her senior trip. And so me and my mom tagged along with her and her mom. And then after that, we basically just started, hanging out around the pool in Cancun. And we just started meeting new people. So Chloe was her name. And Chloe met, I think, two other guys at the pool, and then we met up, I think, at probably the room for one night when we were supposed to go out to dinner or something like that. And it was these two guys that Chloe knew, and then it was also Brett was with them. And I think we started hanging out, I think, that night. We started hanging out a lot, and started kind of ditching that group. Me and Brett got along really well, and we started, hanging out every night, going to certain spots that we had a lot of fun with. We went to the beach many times too. Had a lot of great times down there with two other friends that we met that were from Texas, and it just kind of all came together.
Yeah, so I was kind of in the same situation, graduating at the same time during COVID with Blake, and didn't really have a senior trip, and my family and I, we were just kind of tired of being stuck inside, so as soon as we could go somewhere, we flew to Cancun. And it's like the first night I met these two guys, and they were okay, but I was with my mom, my dad, my brother, and his girlfriend, so I was kind of a long fifth wheeling on the trip. I met these two guys, started hanging out with them, and they were friends with the girl Blake was staying with. And then I ended up going over there, hanging out with them, and me and Blake just hit it off the second we met. It ended up hanging out every single day, almost every minute of every day together. As soon as we woke up, we would text each other. It all happened so fast, but it was definitely one of the coolest and closest bonds I've ever made with somebody, and the quickest time ever.
Yeah, we had
It's like we'd been friends for forever. You would have never known.
Yeah, it was kind of shocking because everybody thought that we knew each other before the trip. And so we would go to these, it was kind of like a nightclub almost kind of place. And we would go there, the people that we kind of met on the trip as well. And we would have a bunch of fun. We would go and hoop, and they saw how bad of a hooper I am. I couldn't make it through to save my life. But, we just hung out and did everything there. I guess me and him basically had the same kind of story. We didn't really have anybody else that, that was closer to our age to hang out with on the trip. And so we just bonded together really well. And it was an amazing time.
Very nice, guys. It sounds like getting to go to Cancun, on spring break, just meeting a new friend has turned into a brotherhood, really. And that's kind of where my next question takes us. Brett, you said you came to visit Blake at MTSU after this trip to Cancun. You learned he was a member of Theta Omega chapter of Sigma Pi. how was that trip, and what was it like meeting other Sigma Pi's?
Yeah, so on the take it back to Cancun for a second. On the very last night, um, me and Blake, we were just hanging out. It was probably 3, 4 in the morning, very last night, and we were like, dude, like we got to hang out again. And so right then and there, we set a date, marked it on our calendars. Like I'm going up to Tennessee to hang out with Blake, and I told my parents about it. They were all for it, and I ended up going and hanging out with Blake for what 4 or 5 days up at MTSU.
Yeah, it was about that. And I remember texting you on that car ride.
Yep. But I seen him wearing the letters on the shirt in Cancun. At the time, I had no idea what that meant. But when I went up to MTSU under your presidency, Drew, hanging out with Blake, and he introduced me to a lot of the guys, and they kind of took me in. Like I've been there ever since they had been there. Didn't meet a single stranger. Everyone acted like they knew me already. They were friends with Blake, so they were friends with me. And they just really showed me like a true brotherhood, and I really enjoyed how I wasn't a stranger being the new guy there, even though I wasn't even a part of Sigma Pi at the time.
Yeah, it's a great testimonial, and I love hearing it, especially because I do kind of have a foot in both camps, right? You know, as you said, I was president of Theta Omega chapter when you came and made this visit. I didn't have the chance to meet you then, but a few months later, I graduated, came and joined staff, and started our Iota Chi colony in coastal Carolina. I remember texting you then. I remembered you and Blake being friends, so I got in touch with my chapter brother Blake and met you when I was in coastal. So that's another good segue into my third question. What inspired you to want to help start your own Sigma Pi chapter at coastal Carolina?
Yeah, so when I came to Coastal, I didn't really have any intentions of joining Greek life. I kind of dabbled into it, but it wasn't really the path I wanted to take. And then at the second I got a call from Blake, telling me that they were starting at Coastal, I knew it was an opportunity I couldn't say no to. Definitely great leadership opportunity. Something to build my leadership and interpersonal skills, and it's been one of the best decisions I think I've ever made. I wouldn't do it any different.
I love it. Blake, my next question is more aimed at you. So you made a friend in Mexico that eventually led to a future fraternity brother at a university over 500 miles away. Can you tell us what that means to you?
Man, that means a lot. I was, put on recruitment really after I was done with Bloodship. And so recruiting was kind of my thing about that time. And when I was in Cancun, I wasn't even thinking of a recruitment opportunity. And, I'm so glad that it did, because now, I have a brother that I can go and visit anytime in Coastal. And, it means a lot, because not only are we great friends down there, but now we're brothers. And it just, I love having that opportunity to go and hang out with him anytime I want, go meet his, his pledge brothers and his brothers there now, just like he came here and saw mine. So, it's just a great opportunity. It means a lot to me, because, he started his own chapter there and he's succeeding there, and that's, a proud moment. Kind of feel like a proud dad.
And that's it, man. That's kind of the point of today's call, is that you can make a friend, maybe a future fraternity brother anywhere, Mexico on a spring break trip, or really anywhere. So I appreciate that testimonial. My last question, kind of jumping back to Brett. So we started Iota Chi a little over a year ago. It was a year last week. Mm-hmm. In that time, you've gone from being one of the founding fathers to the president of Iota Chi. Tell me about that. What's been your experience with that?
Yeah, so like you said, we started February 2nd, 22. Starting then, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I knew it was going to be a long ride, and definitely a journey. But we started off, and we weren't even active for that whole semester, so we had to kind of wait just with our interest group, the original guys, until the fall semester. Then when that kicked up, we kind of had our officers figured out, and I was the recruitment chair. we were pretty successful. We doubled in size our first semester, and as soon as that moment hit, we doubled in size for our first pledge class. We knew we were gonna do nothing but trend upwards from there. And then we had to elect new officers before the spring semester, and our past president ended up going to the IFC board, and we needed someone to step up and be a leader. And I gladly took that opportunity because I knew it would be huge, and I knew I could fill that position, fill that role, be a good leader to be successful in the future.
Well, and for our listeners, Brett's being modest. Our Otokai colony's done some great work in the past year since our colonization. We've had the highest GPA on campus for men's fraternities. The past 2 semesters, our only 2 semesters on campus. Like you said, we did double in size this past semester, and we're actually recruiting right now again for our second time, looking to charter later this year. So those who aren't familiar with expansion, you can certainly still understand the milestones with the recruitment and the GPA. We're doing some really good work for a brand new group on campus. So I'd love to hear that success being promoted on our podcast. But guys, that was my last question for today. I'm glad that we all got to hop on and talk about your all's experience, and hopefully some guys will take away an opportunity to recruit a future brother on spring break this year. Their story really shows that you never know when you're going to get to meet a new brother or make a new friend, right? Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Out Talk Podcast, Blake and Brett.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Corp.
For everyone listening, make sure to hit subscribe and please leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. And as always, I believe.